grateful that we have really good leadership, and we have Reg Auntie and other aunties here. We were able to talk about reach out, revive, and also reconnect. So when you put all these things into perspective, there are many stories and many characters, many individuals in the Bible that reached out, were revived, and also reconnected. But one person in particular kind of stood out to us and made us feel that when we look at this person's life and what he endured and what he stood for, made us feel that yes, this person reconnected, yes, this person revived, and he was able to as well reach out. And this person is Nehemiah. Everyone knows about the story of Nehemiah, right? So, if you put it into the perspective of the story of Nehemiah, he was from Israel, okay? He was from Jerusalem, and he went to a foreign land. This land, at that time, was Persia, right? At that time, in those days, as we all know, Persia was a superior world power, yes? They had all the resources, they had everything. Now, if we connect ourselves to Nehemiah, we are in a superpower, right? We're in this country where we have all the resources. We have everything provided to us, okay? Now, what Nehemiah did in the superpower, or Persia, was he did an odd job. He was a cupbearer to the king, right? What do we do here? Many of us have really good jobs, but are we connected back to our roots? So this was a big question that kind of came into perspective in our group. So what the king noticed was, he noticed he had a disappointed face, right? Many a times, we long to go back to India. We long, especially my parents, I'm sure with you as well, to get that feeling of oneness, feeling of home when you go back there. So Nehemiah had this vision, right? And the king heard of his vision, and he was and the vision was to bring himself to Jerusalem, because he heard that Jerusalem was undergoing a lot of atrocities at that time. Okay, so what were the atrocities that Jerusalem was going through? There was walls being burned down. There was separation and dispersion of the families of Israel and their friends, right? So in Persia, everyone was scattered. There was no unity, there was no oneness in Israel at that time, in Jerusalem. And there were attacks going on Jerusalem and in the holy city, on and on and on. Now, how did the king help? How did this person help Nehemiah? He provided him with the resources, right, to establish the vision. He gave him all the tools that he needed for him to be able to reconnect it back to his people in Israel. Now, he also, what Nehemiah wanted to do was he wanted to revive the walls, right? He wanted to revive all the people back and kind of bring them together. So that kind of puts into the reconnecting and reviving, into perspective. Now, he also wanted to give them a sense of identity, because once we come to another place, many a times we are only a number, right? We're only one person. We're an individual in this vast country, but we want to be able to identify ourselves as a group, as a unit together, okay? Now, so he provided them an ability to revive and provide themselves an identity. And additionally, they were able to reach out, right? So what does he do? He reaches out to Ezra, okay? Where he can bring out the scrolls and read out all the scrolls in front of the elders. And he also reached out to elders to kind of bring them together. So this story of Nehemiah kind of gives us a really overview of what we are doing ourselves here, right? So that's kind of what we talked about in our group. I don't want to go over too much of the other important things, because I think we've all covered it, but there was a few things that we felt that we needed to kind of incorporate into the next upcoming years. Was our church does Children's Christmas, okay? Every year we have a Christmas service on the 25th, but we also have Children's Service, which kind of incorporates all the daycares and all the various facilities that we have here and the community, and we incorporate a gathering for the external community to come into our church and partake in Christmas. So why don't we kind of incorporate a CSI-based, not even CSI is obviously extended out to others, why don't we have our own kind of community where we don't venture out to our own churches, but we can once again come together as one body and kind of fellowship with each other during Christmas. Our church also participates in the ministry that our children do, is actually building or writing quarterly or semi-annually newsletters, okay? So these newsletters have poems, they have the important upcoming activities, it has information on what the children and all the various ministries that this church is offering. So why don't we as a CSI community, not to put a name on a term on it, but why don't we as a community kind of incorporate a newsletter which we can send out to all of our members, all the individuals, because that kind of helps us to reach out to other people. They have an avenue for access to kind of come and participate with us. So these are a few of the small ideas that we came up with, and we really like to thank all of you once again for participating in this. It's been a real pleasure, and I thank you for this opportunity, and I look forward to meeting all of you again.